All right, folks, I found a very interesting article yesterday titled Why a Dow Peak Will Boost Silver. So I wanted to break that down, but I know silver's been doing a lot lately, so I did want to just do a quick overview on what the price of silver is currently doing, which it did push above $30 again. Silver skyrockets over 3% and surpasses $30. So we will quickly highlight what silver's price is doing right now, and then we will go into the second article, why a Dow peak will boost silver. Make sure you subscribe if you like silver videos like this or want to be updated on a daily basis of what's happening with silver. I will always keep you in the loop. So with that said, let's jump straight into it. So silver price analysis, silver skyrockets over 3% and surpasses $30. Silver climbs 3% despite higher U.S. Treasury yields and a stronger U.S. dollar. That is very important. Usually, it's one or the other. If the dollar index is high, gold and silver is low, and vice versa. But right now, times are so crazy, markets are so out of whack that silver is rising regardless of what the dollar is doing, which pushes a lot towards my claims of always saying that eventually silver will take on a life of its own. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean, since silver has such unique, such a unique potential, such unique benefits, it's so useful in other areas that other assets aren't, that eventually it will take on a life of its own. Regardless of what gold's doing, silver will move on its own, since silver right now is heavily correlated with gold. Regardless of what stock market volatility is doing, silver will do what it does. Regardless of what the dollar index is doing, silver will move on its own, taking on a life of its own, detaching itself from the mercy of these other things moving to affect its price, which here is a clear example of that happening. So technical outlook shows bullish bias with momentum favoring buyers. RSI aims higher above the 50 neutral line. Key resistance levels $31.54, which is the June 7th high, and $32 with the year-to-date high at $32.51 in sight. Support levels at $29.09, which is the 50 daily moving average, and $28.66, which is the month-to-day low. Silver price rallied sharply for the second straight day and climbed past $30 on Thursday amid elevated U.S. Treasury bond yields and a stronger U.S. dollar. The gray metal trades $30.68, up by more than 3%. So it's looking good. What this really is showcasing, and here's a chart, what this really is showcasing is that once silver broke past the 12-year highs, now it's a lot harder for it to go lower, and it's a lot easier for it to go higher. It would always approach $30 and bounce back down and stay down, back down to 26, back down to 25, back down to 27, hits up to 28, 29, bounces back down to 25, down to 26, 27. But now that we broke past $30 resistance, now it's a lot easier to stay or go above 30. Like if it's down to 29, it could shoot past up 30 again very easily. And it's a lot harder for it to go back down to 26, 25. So now it's easier to go higher and harder to go lower, where beforehand it was harder to go higher and easier for it to go lower. And that's why once we broke past those 12-year highs, that was so important, and why this is a situation we've never seen before. So anyone saying, oh, well, it's only 31 again or whatever, it's only 30. We are in a much different situation, especially given the upcoming series of events, ending the year with the huge BRICS meeting in October and then the November election. So now let's jump into this article. Since you're updated on what silver's price is doing right now, is back above 30, approaching 31. So why a Dow peak will boost silver. During the Great Depression, both silver in 1931 and the Dow in 1932 reached a significant low. Both have rallied significantly since then. However, the structure of the rallies was very different. To date, the Dow has significantly outperformed silver since those lows. The Dow increased 988-fold from the low to the all-time high, whereas silver has only increased 179-fold from the low to all-time highs. Here's a long-term comparison of the Dow, interest rates, and silver. So here is the chart. You can see this is backdating to 1929. So this is pretty interesting. Here's some of the comments. So monetary base increased from 1932 to 1973, 11.74 times. 26-time increase from 1932 to 1973. You have silver 14-time increase from silver's bottom in 1993 to silver's high before the Dow peak. Falling interest rates environment. So yeah, I mean, for me, these types of things, you have to be, how should I word this? They can be useful, but we are they can be useful, but historically speaking, like I just was saying right before we covered this, we are in a peculiar situation because we now just broke past 12-year highs. We've never been in 5 different wars, proxy or not, with silver sitting at 30 with a huge BRICS meeting in October and the most controversial, important election in history. So you could try to, look at these types of things. You could say a nice claim of why a Dow peak will boost silver, which it could and it probably would, but there's also so many other variables and factors to look at. This is interesting though, but once again, like in the last article was saying, right now silver is moving while the dollar is strengthening, is moving higher with the dollar, 3% up with a stronger dollar. That's not normal. So we are not in normal times. Like I always say, if you expect crazy prices, because we're living in crazy times, right? I mean, you have to expect that nowadays. Like, what's the Chinese proverb that Andy Schectman always says, may you live in interesting times. I mean, that's just the reality. And then if you incorporate not only just the October BRICS meetings, but like 150 countries coming together with the BRICS, and then on top of the November election, think of all the other unknown variables, all these other wrenches that are going to get thrown in before then and after then that are going to be just as big, just as important, that are going to throw the market cycles out of whack. Like, yes, like everyone's just assuming everything's going to stay very plain. Nothing's going to happen too much until October, November. But we are living in insane times. There's going to be some massive events, some unknown variables that nobody could predict that's also going to affect prices. Nobody ever incorporates the unknown variables. You have to also incorporate those. It's not like life is just going to just pause until that October BRICS meeting and just push play and then go into the November 5th election. That's not reality. There's going to be some other major things happening before then that will also have to incorporate, that will affect the price to some degree. So anyways, the period from circa 1931 to now can be divided into an era of rising interest rates. 1931 to 1982 and falling interest rates 1982 to 2024. During that period of rising interest rates, the Dow increased 26 times from the low to the high in 1973, while during the falling interest rate period, it increased 52 times from the low in 1982 to its 2024 all-time high. Falling interest rates and greater monetary base increase, 11.74 times versus 33.2 times, were evidently better conditions for the Dow. On the other hand, though, silver has a different relationship with interest rates. During the period from 1931 to the Dow peak in 1973, silver only increased 8.9 times. This does not compare well to Dow's 26-fold growth during the same period. However, the Dow's peak in 1973, silver rose much faster. In fact, silver increased about 25.5 times from the silver price at the 1973 Dow peak to silver's high in 1980, which is $50 from the Hunt brothers, obviously, and in 2011, around $49 again. This resulted in an overall 178.57-fold increase from the bottom of 1931 to the top in 1980. This means that ultimately, during that cycle, silver significantly outperformed the Dow, 178 versus 26. So, I mean, yeah, I don't want to go too much into these numbers. They don't mean too much to me, honestly. I do like the points they're making, though. So here's some other stuff that's very important, though. So if silver again outperforms the Dow to the extent that it did in the early cycle of 1931 to 1988, then we could see some crazy high silver prices. Just do the calculations for yourself. A chart I posted previously also points out the significance of the next Dow peak for silver future prices. So here's the chart. Two patterns in similar context, both starting at a major silver price peak. So you have the 1929 crash, 1937 Dow peak. Then you see right here, 1981 major interest rate peak. You got to remember, silver was $50 in 1980, and then once again in 2011, and then you have that. Then right here, 24, 25, another Dow peak, which would be pushing silver higher. So it does look like it is adding up. To what they're trying to say, right? Because remember, the 2008 credit financial crisis, recession/depression, $1 billion stimulus, then led to $50 silver. So both times silver at $50, we were at Dow peak. So they're making a good case, right? It is. I mean, looking historically, it does make sense and it probably would happen. But remember, there's a lot of other variables as well. But I did think this is pretty interesting. What do you think about it, though? Yeah, so, there's a lot going on right now. If you want to be up to date on a daily basis, then make sure that you subscribe. Right now, Dow Jones Industrial Average flattens on Friday as investors bulk upbeat U.S. PMIs. So Dow Jones Industrial Average stubbornly flat on Friday, treading water after U.S. equity markets were disappointed by a better than expected print in June's U.S. Purchasing Managers Index, which is the PMI figures. On the downside, U.S. existing home sales eased back to 4.1 million units. And so anyways, let's try to see if there's anything else important. Not too much, but yeah, so you can see that's pretty much what's happening right now. If you did want to subscribe, make sure that you click the button and click the bell so you immediately get notified when I post. And if you wanted to purchase some silver while it's still cheap, which I highly recommend, you can email me, slayer@milesfranklin.com, or call me 330-485-6172. I'll get you hooked up. Right now we have 90% silver, 265 over spot. We have the Buffalo Rounds, 235 over spot. We have Kilo Bars, which is this week's special, $1.79 over spot. We have lots of different stuff, huge variety. We have gold as well. So yeah, make sure you hit me up or buy from somewhere that's trusted, reliable, safe, if you're not going to go through me. But I recommend it because, building a business relationship could be extremely important, especially as silver gets harder to find. And, yeah, I got you. So anyways, thanks for tuning in. Go check out my other videos. I'm going to start posting 2 videos a day from now on. I've been doing that the last couple of days. Just up my content. I haven't been slacking necessarily, but I definitely think I can I think it's just time to put more effort into my channel, spending a little more time. I know I already do a lot, but I'm always trying to just push things to the next level. I promise I won't get burnt out because I love doing this. If anything, this is actually helping motivate me more as I see my channel growth more. And yeah, so motivation is actually from working harder, believe it or not. And I've been doing this since 2016, posting daily videos. So if that's enough proof that I'm serious, and I don't know what else is. So yeah, anyways, I love you all. Make sure to hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. This is Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.